And then I changed my career from engineering to data analytics by going back to university. So basically, I went to Auckland Uni to study my master's in IT. And during my study, I kind of I had a plan that I would like to go down the AI and the data track. So I selected all those data or AI related courses. Before I graduated, actually about a year before I graduated from Auckland Uni, I applied for some jobs, and I got a job offer from Stats New Zealand. So that was my first data job, and I will talk a little bit about that, how I got my first data job as an engineer. Um, and then I kind of moved between companies, like from Stats New Zealand to Auckland Transport for a year to a year and a half, and then I decided to move from public sector to private sector, and joined AA Insurance as a senior DA. And then last year I had another career pivot from being a DA and changed to being a BA. When I say BA, it's more like functional technical BA. So my current job, full-time job, is with New Zealand Stock Exchange Wealth Technologies. So it's a fintech company. And besides my work, I have some entrepreneurship experience. About 10 years ago, I was a co-founder of the largest Chinese career network in the US. We had about 20K members. I was there for 3 years. And after I've been to New Zealand, I also co-founded the Chinese Data Analytics Professional Association. And currently, I'm running another startup company, which is called Bridging AI. So we do like Asia Pacific relocation service and career coaching, and immigration advisory consulting. So basically, we integrate this kind of Asia Pacific relocation service into our platform. And currently, we are going through pre-seed funding stage. A hobby I would like to share is golf. So that's my most serious hobby. So I spend a lot of time on golf course, and I've been playing golf for 4 years and really enjoy that. So moving on to the next slide, please. So here I would like to talk a little bit about my career pivoting or career transition. The first picture on top is you can see that kind of fancy stuff. Probably no most people don't know what the heck that is. So it's one of the products I designed when I work in the US. So it's a combustion equipment that lots of refineries use to combust their waste gases. So my job was pretty much design this kind of equipment, did some mechanical analysis, and lots of mechanics analysis using some advanced tools. So the clients we had were mostly large oil companies like BP, ExxonMobil, and Petrobras. So those large oil companies around the globe. So, like I mentioned earlier, when I moved to New Zealand, I went back to university and I was studying my IT degree. At the time, actually right before COVID, back in 2020. So I was like, wait, I didn't really enjoy doing engineering, so that wasn't something that I kind of was really passionate about. Although I was pretty okay with my job, I had a good salary and quite a good future in the company. But I was like, no, that wasn't for me. So and I look around and like what I was doing, what should I go for future? And then I have some friends who work as a like data scientist in Silicon Valley, and we had some conversations. And I was like, wait a second, that the data is coming, the world of data is coming at the time. So I was like, why don't I give it a shot? So I decided to take the data science as my study path at Auckland Uni. And when it's close to COVID, I was still in the program, and I was a little bit tired of, I guess, trying to write homeworks and do this academic homeworks, which I feel wasn't practical enough for me to get a job. So I started to do internship. So I started an internship at Orion Health as a data scientist intern. That was for a very short period. And after that, I started to apply for jobs, full-time jobs. And I was lucky enough to get an interview from Statistics New Zealand. Now, when I went to the interview, I was a little bit nervous because I didn't have much data experience, and the role was actually intermediate level. So they asked me to give a presentation, and I was wondering what projects could use for my presentation when I went to the interview. I was like looking around and searching my interview inventory where I have a whole bunch of stories I could share. And I dig out one project that I think was a key reason they hired me, although I was still in the Auckland Uni IT program. So the project I did was a kind of personal or self-initiated project where I used R. Basically, I kind of developed some visual charts to analyze something around the primary school enrollment pressure that Albany Primary School had at the time. And I presented to the Auckland Council local board, and also I wrote a letter to the Ministry of Education to argue with my analysis that the neighborhood or the area I lived in wasn't causing the main pressure onto Albany Primary School. So that was quite an interesting experience. Although I only spent about a day writing the codes and generating, or I mean, extracted data from stats website and generating the visuals, I found the whole process quite rewarding. And I used that as an example for presentation to the Statistics New Zealand interview. And and then they decided to hire me out of, I guess, five candidates. I asked them, of course, I asked them why they hired me, and they say, oh, because of implementation. That was very relevant. So see, you don't need to present a very fancy presentation when you go to interview or talk about fancy projects you did. I could talk about all these large scale projects I did back in US, but I didn't. So I just talk about something relevant to stats, New Zealand. And that was my first job change or career pivot, I would say. Last year I had another big change from being a DI to BA, and it might doesn't sound like a big change for some of you because I guess you're still starting in the BA program, say at Auckland Uni, and you still like try to understand what exactly is BA or DA, what are the differences or nuances between those two types of careers. So in BA, there's a big role, and it's called technical or functional BA. So it's mainly about writing specifications, working with developers and product owners or Scrum Masters to translate the business requirements into the technical requirements. So that any feature, any products that I guess the team wants to enhance or produce will be smoothly moved into the implementation stage, which is very different from being a DA, because DA, I have been a DA for 5 years, and my job was around using Python, R, and Power BI to run a whole bunch of analysis for different business purposes. So it's very different. So I kind of had that change, but that wasn't a blunt shot. That wasn't out of nowhere. Um, when I was working at AA Insurance as senior DI, I already started to do some of the requirements gathering and requirements analysis work because I actually asked for it. I foresee that I was going to be becoming like more BA than a DA. So I was doing my job at this AA Insurance. I was doing probably like 50% of my job, related to BA, and then 50% related to data analysis. And with that 50% of BA, I had some cool stories I could talk when I went to the interview. And I had some disadvantages, admittedly, because I guess when you start looking for jobs, you obviously see jobs from all different industries, right? Could be banking, could be public sector, could be university. And my job or my current job, um, was with a fintech company, which I have absolutely no idea about. And I thought I wouldn't know something, but actually I figured that I was really ignorant in this area until I started this job. So, and I heard words from the hiring manager that I had some disadvantages compared against some other candidates because some of the candidates come from banking or fintech industries, and I come from the insurance industry, but very, very different from the fintech area. So that was my disadvantage. But I think what I did well in the interview process was that I tried my best to tell my stories about how I manage stakeholders, how I understand business requirements, how I try to bridge between business and the technical sides of the data world. Although they didn't understand much about Power BI or data analytics stuff, don't care because in the world of fintech, in the world of like a business analysis in a fintech, I mean, they don't use much of data analysis for now. I mean, at least for my company at the moment. But I tried my best to sell the story. I tried my best to sell that I'm not just a data guy, right? I'm kind of business guy, but with data as my one of my tools, right? And also, of course, with some of the BA experience I just talked about, like such as documentation, business analysis, or sorry, requirements analysis, business process mapping experience. I think that put me into a place where they decided to hire me and they put me as a top candidate over other candidates. Um, so I think this is a little bit the story around how I kind of move along and change industries and change my careers. So if you could you please move to the next slide, Mayank? Thank you. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, um, when I moved from one career to another career, it's nothing about like starting over, right? So from engineer to the DA, although I talk about it, I presented on my personal project with the Stats New Zealand data. Still, in my engineering experience, I did a little bit of programming. I was like a macro stuff, but a little bit of programming that kind of helped me still, I guess, when I learn Python or learn some SQL language, I still have some programming foundations. And the communications was absolutely some of the, I think, my personal strength when I went to interview. As an engineer, I need to have lots of communications with project managers and sometimes clients or contractors. So that's the part I think everybody got something to say in the communications. So and analytical skills, obviously, engineering is absolutely analytical career. So there's no doubt that who work as an engineer before should be fully qualified to be a DA regarding analytical skills. And from DA to a BA or functional technical BA, what I had was documentation skills and also SQL skills. I'm not sure if many people are aware. So what I think the biggest common area between a functional technical BA and DA is really with the SQL as a DA, use SQL to run complicated or complex analysis, right? But as a BA, you also use SQL to check something in the back end, how the tables, um, and yeah, basically check the data in the back end, not just check the front end, the UI stuff, but you have to align the back end with the front end. So that's SQL is quite a big skill for a BA. And the storytelling communication, I had a whole bunch of, I guess, projects and stories that I could tell, um, and also analytical skills. So I just kind of transfer those skills along those careers. So let's move on to the next slide, please, Mayak. Thank you. Now we talk about AI, right? AI is the AI on the near future career, and I would like to say, because everybody uses AI, I would say, I use AI every day with my job, with my life, and everything. And according to a Goldman Sachs research back in 2023, business and financial operations occupations, including BAs and DAs, have 46% of tasks exposed to AI automation. So that's one of the big highest categories, actually. Um, I believe some of us here, when we do our job, like for example, if you run data analysis, you know how AI can run a quick data analysis and create some kind of beautiful looking visual charts for you within just a couple of minutes, right? You know, as a DA, and when I work as a DA before, some of the analysis could take a couple of weeks. You know, to try to generate some beautiful looking visuals, either in Power BI or using Python or using R. But AI can do that. Just I think it's not only about timing, it's also about that you can send your prompts and you send your requirements to AI. It can do all the job for you, and you are pretty much kind of reviewer, and you are pretty much the person kind of like try to verify the results against the requirements. And as a BA, we do a whole bunch of documentations, right? We ask her questions. And so that's also a big part that AI can do because AI was initially, or large language model was initially based on the NLP, which is not natural language processing. So it can write a really good quality documentation, well structured, especially if you have a templates. That's what I use for writing my specifications, which can save me a lot of time, like 60% of the time, if I write something without the help from AI. Um, can we move to the next slide, please, Mayan? Thank you. So that's quite a cliche topic already, to be honest. Like what skills can be replaced by AI and what cannot, and what new skills are generated by AI. I would like to touch on the technical functional BA perspective. So, like I mentioned, the skills that AI can replace include things like documentation, user stories. I mean, I write user stories with AI nowadays. I don't sit there just kind of come up with my mind. Like data gathering, gap analysis, test cases, all those things can be done with AI, right? Um, but the skills that cannot be replaced, I believe you guys probably heard lots of talks on this, like people skills. So specifically, we talk about stakeholder management, like negotiation or conflict resolution skills, understanding the business context, the politics, because either you're a BA or DA, you're going to deal with lots of politics in office. That's just the real world. There's lots of information flow around, and nobody knows if that's true or not. So that's a lots of navigation with your human part in the office or in the organization. Of workshop facilitation, of course, you need to do that yourself. You don't need you cannot have AI agent to run a workshop. Ask clarifying questions, reading between lines, making judgment decisions, and all sorts of things. So those skills cannot be replaced by AI. But I wouldn't say they are not going to be replaced in the long future. But I think in the near future, probably not. Although I use some of the AI tools to help me do all those skills, but I don't think they are going to be replaced in the near future. Another thing I would like to touch is about the AI generated skills. Because we know lots of new roles come up, like you probably when you look for jobs, you see AI specialist, AI consultants, right? AI engineer, all sorts of AI titled positions coming up in lots of large companies or even small organizations. So there's lots of new skills that didn't exist before AI came to play, such as prompt engineering, um, AI tool evaluation or selection, training stakeholders on AI workflows. And one particular thing that I like, and I'm actually training myself on, is translating between AI capabilities and business needs. So when people come up with the business requirements, questions, or needs, in the past, you probably can write some programs to solve some issues, right? Or you can use Power Automate, on the Power Platform to automate some workflows. But now we got AI. You can use Copilot, either you can use Cloudy AI, and Gemini, all this kind of whichever your company or your personal AI tools are. I mean, kind of translate the requirements to the AI capabilities becomes more and more demanding because it's kind of actually it's quite slow here in New Zealand, but I believe in Australia, in America, they're kind of more moving fast in this space. Like they hire people who particularly are specialized in or experienced in translating business needs in the AI capabilities, coming up with AI level solutions rather than just traditional, I guess, tools or programming or etc. or automated workflows. So that's quite an important skill, I believe, as a BA. Um, and another thing I would like to touch on is because I mentioned that as an entrepreneur, part-time entrepreneur, I would say. Um, I've been running bridgeai.com and also I've been running a AI training program. So what I've been doing is I train people on selection of AI tools for different purposes, how to refine your prompts, how to like have more interactive working relationship with your AI rather than just try to take AI as an information retrieval tool. And also there's something ongoing at the moment. Everybody probably heard about Claude bot, Open Claude, and Cloudy Coworker, and Manners. All this like a super cool stuff. And to be honest, most of the companies are not even up to that stage to say utilize Manus AI to run some automations. There are some kind of discussion ongoing around ethics issues. So we do train people on how to use these advanced tools, and we also train people how to develop their own tools or platforms for their use, either for work or for personal use. So it's going pretty quick at the moment. So that's why I think as a AI entrepreneur, I feel the benefit of I think pushing myself to keep learning about AI rather than just sitting here doing a day-to-day job and just making some income. So yeah, I think that's all for my slides. Hopefully, I didn't use much of my time. So I guess I'll hand over back to Krini or Mayank for question
Yep.
session.
Thank you so much, Owen. That was very informative, and I'm sure a lot of people um, got a lot of insights. Basically, in from perspective of how DA is different from BA, and how to succeed in a BA career, right? And definitely an entrepreneur side. I think a lot of people are these days exploring being an entrepreneur with the help of AI. So I think this will definitely help. So I'll just quickly go to the Q&A sections. Here are some questions that have been posted by few of our listeners, few of the attendees. So we can go one by one. I think first one is from Louis. Can you give more example of translating between AI capabilities and business needs? I think this relates to one of the new gen skills, Owen, which you had mentioned, translating between AI capabilities and business needs.
Yes, sure. So this area is mainly around, as far as I understand or as far as I have experience, is some automation processes that lots of companies are trying to implement in the organization. For example, when someone like in the company try to say save some data into the Excel spreadsheet and they try to run some calculations and then try to upload the file to some platform. Um, Lots of companies in New Zealand, I would say, they do in a very manual way. Surprisingly, not everyone, but lots of them, and I can tell from my personal experience. So if people come and say, "Hey, I want to automate the whole process, like copy data into Excel's workbook and run some data analysis, and then upload the file to somewhere." Um, I mean, without AI, I mean, you can do partial of that, right? You can do something using programming, but um, when that business come in, and if you know that AI can do all those things, AI can copy data, generate visual data, analytics visuals, some beautiful charts, and then move files into some folders. Like I guess Cloudy Coworker can, if you install that on your PC, it can move files around, rename it, reorganize all everything. So that kind of connects with the business needs, right? Like that's the full automation can happen with the AI capabilities rather than the partial requirements can be done with some of the um, I guess traditional automation ways. And another example, I guess Power Automation. I don't know if how many of you guys use Power Automation or Power
Mm.
Automate.
Power
So
Automate,
Power,
yeah.
yeah, Power Automate is it's a great tool that you can use to automate lots of like Microsoft
Mm.
between Microsoft tools, right? You can download
Yeah.
attachments from email, save it on SharePoint, etc. So I think Microsoft has done something to kind of try to rename Power Automate as kind of AI agents. It could be like automated workflow, but they call it like AI agent, right? So you still can take it as AI. So if you want to say, oh, I want to save some emails, sent from your clients every day because it could be like daily operation thing. So you can set up some kind of AI agent or Power Automate workflow to grab the email, grab the attachments, save to some folders, and if they are Excel data, you can add another bits. You'll have AI to work on like extract some key insights from the Excel file. So you don't need to go into the Excel to run some analysis yourself. It's pretty much have AI do everything from end to end. So I think what AI really empower us is how we think. It's not just how we do things; it's how we think. Because with the traditional tools, we kind of limited in your box, like, oh, if the business needs come in, I feel like, oh, I can do that, but I cannot do that because we don't have tools. But now AI is like, oh, you can do that, you can do that, you can do from end to end. So the way you start thinking about things will be like, you're not really concerned or scared about the business is gonna be too much. You're more kind of thinking about at which stage AI can evolve to a level of capability that it can handle all those things, if that makes sense. Hopefully that's helpful.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much, Owen, for that. I think we have few more questions. I will take the most recent one first. It says, what is something that you see that can add significant value in the short term for AI-enabled business capabilities, and what we need to proceed with caution?
Yeah, I guess the significant value would be absolutely efficiency, right? And I
Mm.
just touch on the automation because one of the biggest benefit automation can bring is the efficiency. And another thing I think besides efficiency is less human errors, or I mean, less human errors. Like I guess we all make mistakes at work. So and lots of times we spend a lot of time trying to dig out the areas like why it happened. But I think AI can eliminate lots of human errors so that we as workers we can spend time on some other more important stuff at work.
Mm.
So that's I think it's short-term benefit or value. I think the caution we need to be aware of is that I mean, we talk about data privacy. I think when we talk about AI, we talk about ethics, we talk about data privacy. So lots of organizations are quite careful about using AI tools because there are so many AI tools on Google on the market, right? Like for example, at NZX Wealth Technologies, we use Copilot Enterprise level enterprise license, or we pretty much stick with Microsoft. We're not using Cloudy. We're not using Gemini, right? Because of the data privacy issue. We don't want to leak any clients of data to the service provider or AI provider.
Mm.
Different companies use different AI tools. I know Deloitte they use Cloudy, um, and yeah, I mean Just different organizations have different AI tools, but just gonna be careful about the data privacy, and you don't want to breach that. Um, and another thing I would say is be careful about AI hallucination. I believe you guys heard about that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you cannot just simply trust the results coming from AI every time.
Hmm.
You have to scrutinize the results. You have to be the person who make the decision if you want to take the outcome from AI as your output, which will actually represent you. It's not doesn't represent AI, it actually represents yourself, right? So you need to be careful about that. And I think it's just I think a matter of time when work on a job, you are absolutely an expert in your area. So you have some discernment on if the results make sense or not. But sometimes you might miss that. I might miss that sometimes, and you will get caught. So you gotta be you cannot be too lazy, okay? You still have to read through what AI writes and say that makes sense, that doesn't. Yeah.
Uh, Makes sense. I hope we were able to answer Greg's question. Moving on to the next one. Where do you see the challenges and advantages with adopting AI in the ANZ workplace compared to other countries you have experienced, for example, China or America?
Yeah, that's quite an interesting question. As far as I see, I think New Zealand it's a quite a conservative place at a workplace, to be honest. I think people are a bit careful or cautious about adopting new tools, especially disruptive tools like AI, because I guess there were not everyone, but there are someone in the organization who are worried about if their job's gonna get cut off
Mm,
tomorrow, right? So with that kind of mindset, I think it takes some time. It's kind of slow, and it usually comes from the decisions from the senior leadership team when they say they want to take AI, they want to explore the AI space. They want to find use cases that could be, I guess, AI could be implemented on. So that's usually situation. It's not. I think compared to with the job I work in America, I never worked in China. Just to clarify, but I think in America sometimes the improvement or change might come from employees. Where, for example, if you are a BA, you may propose that, hey, let's do AI. Then I think if that makes sense, you write a proposal and then accept it, then you can start to do that. So I think that's might be the difference, but that's just my personal experience. But um, for the companies I work for in New Zealand, or the public sector, large organizations, I worked for 6 different large organizations before in New Zealand. I think in most scenarios, it's a decision come from senior leadership team. Taking AI insurance as example, because I was a part of the AI pilots group. So they made a decision to start to look into AI because of the shareholder of the company, which was Suncorp Corporation in Australia. They want to look into AI. That was simple. Okay, don't let me ask you what other reasons. Just because the shareholders want to look into AI, they should start looking into AI.
mm,
It's not because people want to improve, people want to automate, because that's really a dangerous thing, I think, here
yeah.
in New Zealand, in some organizations. I'm trying to be honest, right? So although I ask a dumb question, I think, hey, there are lots of things we could automate, but it's not a reason for AI to come in. But I think it's not the case for every organization. Still some organizations, especially I think intermediate level companies, they have the mindset of like I guess growth mindset, and they want to keep improving the processes, and I guess empower themselves with AI capabilities. So they do take a more proactive approach in adopting AI rather than being a little bit passive. So yeah, it kind of varies from organizations to organizations, but I think in New Zealand it's a bit, I guess, slower than other countries, really.
Right, right. Thank you. Thank you for that. We'll move
Okay.
on to the next one. What was your intrinsic motivation, driver, and vision that you had for yourself when you moved to NZ? to start your DA to BA to entrepreneurship journey?
Yeah, that's quite a deep question. I like that. Intrinsic motivation. I think first of all, I would say my intrinsic motivation to start as a DA rather than being an engineer was that I think I have I fascinating numbers. I like numbers. I like to I like the I like spend time into I think dig into numbers and try to extract some really good useful statistical level insights that but people don't know if they don't spend time on the efforts into that aspect. So that's the first part I was quite interested in. Um, and from DA to BA, I think my intrinsic motivation wasn't really like when I arrived in New Zealand, right? So it was like when I was working as a DA, I started to build that kind of motivation. Because I figure that um, being a BA is very, very important because lots of times you develop something, you present beautiful visuals that doesn't answer people's questions. Because people will be like, well, this is not what exactly I want.
Mm.
So, pretty much, as a DA, you might waste a lot of time because the requirements are wrong. Or, sorry, I wouldn't say requirements are wrong, like the documented requirements are wrong. So I found that it's quite important to be in the BA role. Although it's a very challenging role, but I found it's quite rewarding because I'm a person who absolutely be the bridge person to, I think, in the position of translating business requirements in good quality and then pass that to developers
Mm.
so that they develop something that the clients or product owners are happy with. So that's quite a challenging but a very rewarding. So that's my intrinsic motivation to shift from DA to BA. Now, entrepreneurship. As I shared earlier, I started a bit of entrepreneurship experience back in the US. That was like 12 years ago. So my initial or my intrinsic motivation was just to help people. Um, as I mentioned, the first entrepreneurship I had was to build a large Chinese professional network in the US. So that was when I saw a lot of people struggle to find a job because I was very lucky to find my first full-time engineer job in US before I graduated in US. So that was like the first year I was studying in the US and I was there just for a year and I tried to find a full-time job and I got it. So I was like, I'm kind of blessed guy, but I want to share that thing with people.
Right.
So I think I don't want to just hold my treasure myself, like, oh, I'm lucky guy. You guys are losers. I don't want to be that person. So that's just my motivation to help people. And now, like my the bridgeandai.com is kind of was traced back to my intrinsic motivation to help people because people struggle in their career and now people want to move to other countries to seek different new lives. I think that's kind of bigger picture than job searching. So I'm kind of, yeah, similar motivation on that.
Sure, sure, makes sense. Next one is a bit personal. You can choose to skip it or, if you like to answer.
Good.
Do you
Think,
think
yeah.
AI will replace your job one day? And are you worried about it?
Oh,
I
I think
think we
that's a
all
great
are
question.
worried about it.
That's a great question. I love that, to be honest. I mean, to answer that, I wouldn't say AI will replace my job because AI might replace my existing job requirements,
Yeah.
but it will not replace me
Hmm.
working on this job.
True.
So I think to be more specific, like we know all these jobs ongoing at the moment, like for example a DA, right? So it's like, oh, doing using Python run this analysis, blah blah blah. That's a job description for now. But after a couple of years, you might still work on this position, but because you have gained some AI skills, the company has implemented AI solutions, and you start to build new skills, you still work in this
Hmm.
position. But you are, I mean, when they start hiring new people, they need to add AI skills onto the job description. So those jobs they kind of keep evolving. So
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, like I said, AI will replace my current job description, but it will not replace the job I'm doing, or especially myself, or like Owen, the guy who is doing the job. And I might worry about that. I don't worry about that because like I said, I'm an AI entrepreneur. I keep up with AI technologies. I use all
Right.
the advanced AI tools, so I'm not worried about it at all. But there's one thing I'm a little bit worried about is some startup in Silicon Valley, they're cooking some cool stuff but never tell anyone else. And that kind of crazy stuff may be like ChatGPT something that some another, like I don't know. The tool comes up, it will kill all the companies. Like one AI agent run everything. So that's just something I'm a bit worried about. But
Right.
um, yeah, I guess I've listened too much speech from Elon Musk, but don't fully trust him.
True, true. Okay, moving on to the next one. Could you please recommend some good learning materials or forums or tools to gain AI skills?
Yeah, I might disappoint you to say that, but the best way to learn AI skills is through AI. That may sound stupid, but that's my experience as a I think trainer in the AI space.
Mm,
Um, Use AI to its full extent and let AI teach you AI skills. Um, Ask some questions like, "Hey AI, what are the best tools in the world now that I can use? I can try."
right.
And you go ahead and try those tools. Because now I think AI is coming to more like a in-depth like application level rather than just ChatGPT cloudy, right? Information retrieval.
Mm,
Like a company like Manus AI, which was acquired by Facebook or Meta for I think $2 billion something. And they have an AI that can say make bookings for you on website. You know, they
mm,
they they allocate a virtual machine to every user, and they basically just kind of they ask you to log into some website that you might have an account, but they'll do everything after that for you. So
right.
it's something like you try it, you learn it, right? And another series of tools that I teach in my AI training program about is developing your own apps. So for example, on my phone, I have 15 apps I developed for myself. One example would be because I have a 7-month-old daughter in my house. And I had some trouble to catch up with her feeding time, sleeping time, and my
Mm,
wife had to pay about 100 New Zealand dollars to get subscribed to an app. And
mm,
I don't like the app because it's designed for lots of users. It's not for myself. So I
mm.
developed an app myself using tools like Base44 or Lovable within a couple of minutes. I just
Wow.
send the commands, do this, do that, because I use the other paid app. And it's
Mm,
just like, hey, I just need this stuff. I just need the functionality. I just need to track the sleeping time, track the feeding time, show me the pie chart, show me the bar chart, and give me a total sum of the milk amount every day, things like that. And also I created like a shared shopping list, shared calendar with my wife, so we can see each other's schedule
mm,
for free. Basically, I use my free account to do that. And yeah, just one of those tools. And another tool I built actually a golf chain store. I don't know if you guys play golf and like if you go to golf warehouse. So my one of my friends who works in golf warehouse, he wants to promote one of my golf app I developed myself because it's a proof of concept that I have
right.
in the golf industry. So I think if you kind of try to practice more
Mm,
and do something, play with those AI tools, and man, you'll find it just kind of surpasses your imagination.
true. True.
I think I don't remember. I watched probably a speech from someone said in future there won't be apps anymore.
Mm,
I think I'm kind of going through that stage. Like I don't need to install apps except for some games, but you can actually write games with AI vibe coding, right? You can write in your game. You want if you want to design a game because I want to be a game designer before because I play some
right.
video games, and you can put your game rules or prompts whatever in those like vibe coding tools and it ask you to design a game for you, and you can play yourself. You can ask your wife, you ask your children to play with you.
Mm.
That's yeah, I think that's just fantastic stuff, eh?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And just one follow-up question on that. When you create these apps, right, you will have to have a platform to host it, right? Like a data center or a cloud, right? So
Yeah.
would
So
that take up some I mean amount or some monthly subscription?
yeah, not really because like base 44 they give you a free domain to host your apps. So if you just try to use it for your personal use or for a small group of people,
Right.
you don't really need to worry about that. And base 40 has backend support as well. I
Hmm.
think Lovable or Replit, there's some other tools to do that as well. I think they support backend stuff as well. And it's actually much easier than you think. Like when I started develop those apps myself, I'm like, oh, I need to worry about backend because initially I built I integrated the Stripe payments because I try to publish my app so people can subscribe and pay. So that was a bit process,
Hmm.
um, but if you don't want it, you don't need to like publish it for people to pay and use. If you
Right.
just publish it for people to use for small amount of users, there's no problem. There's nothing you should worry about. The tables are generated by itself. You
Yeah.
pretty much should worry about the UI side, like the front end stuff and functionality side, like whichever you wanted to the tool to present to you or how you want to use that. So it's pretty straightforward to be honest.
Got it. Got it. Okay. I think we have time for one more question. I'll take the
Nayak,
one on top.
sorry,
Hey,
before you
hi.
moving on to
Yeah.
the next question, I
Sure.
believe many of us are very impressed by Owen sharing her himself building some apps. And
Yeah.
there's one question from Greg regarding these apps. Is that for Android or iOS for your vibe coded apps?
Yeah, that's quite a good question. So when I said apps, I'm talking specifically about web apps.
Right.
But they do like I think Android or
Mm.
iOS apps now. Because at the time when I was doing a whole bunch of apps, probably like a couple months ago, because I stopped doing that for the past 2 months, busy with my baby. At that time, they didn't have the functionality for building Android or iOS apps, but now I think they do. And with Manus, I didn't build app with Manus, but with Manus you can build phone apps um, there. So absolutely, I think more and more platforms are enabling that kind of phone apps development. But yeah, when we talk about apps, phone apps, web apps, so I was more like about web apps. Just some kind of tools that you can use um, online, basically.
Sure. Hey,
You
thank you for that. Owen, last question for you today. I know we have been bothering you a lot with all the questions, but
Oh, no, it's okay, not
last
bothering.
one.
I'm glad to answer those good questions.
How much do you trust the coding provided by AI? And for a junior DA, how important is coding now in the work? As AI can help make nearly all the codes.
Well,
Yeah.
because I don't do much coding myself, right? So I don't
Yeah.
come from I mean, I do some SQL coding, but SQL
Mm.
coding is nothing compared with, development coding, right?
Right.
Um, I don't really. So okay, put it this way. So there's a recent piece of work I did that I use I ask AI to write a Python script for me
Mm.
to handle some of the data manipulation stuff
Right.
in Excel. And that was great work. I mean, the code was written within a couple of minutes, right?
Mm.
And then every time the code was written, it worked. I just keep asking more, asking more. So it's not that like I try to ask AI to debug the codes, but I just require more. So I think the quality of the AI coding is becoming more and more reliable,
Mm.
and that's one of the biggest reasons that companies like Microsoft they started to increase the portion of the codes written by AI.
Yeah.
And even I don't even hear about the Manus AI, which I just talked about.
Yeah.
I think most of the codes were written by AI, or most of the codes were written by Manus AI.
Mm.
So it's a bit scary, but so I mean, think about this, right? Like
Mm.
Copilot as an AI tool was written by AI, or Copilot might be written by Cloudy AI.
Yeah.
like so it's something like I think things kind of work together and then they kind of grow really really fast and because of AI can self-evolve. But for the junior DA coding in the work, I would say Python probably becomes less and less important, like regarding your capability of writing good Python code, because if you use AI to write the coding, you notice how good they're at commenting,
Mm,
right? Because we complain a lot about people who left the company and left a shitload of uncommented codes, and you couldn't understand what codes was for. But AI can write beautiful coding with beautiful comments, and you know what this code does.
mm,
So that's a huge difference, right? So I think probably not Python, but for SQL, I also use AI for SQL, but I think SQL sometimes you just need to write some really quick and short SQL to extract something. So you still need to keep something in your mind rather than every time you go to AI to ask us SQL coding because SQL is also related to lots of your I guess tables, the table names, etc. You need to
mm,
still use some of the SQL tools to write because it can grab table names, etc. automatically. Um, and yeah, but obviously, yeah, like I said, lots of companies or what we call AI native companies, they write all of the codes with AI.
mm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, I hope we were able to answer James, and we will quickly wrap up. Thank you so much, Owen, for your time and answering all the questions from the diverse group of people.
No
Right,
problem. My
and
pleasure.
yeah, so thank you everyone for participating in today's event. We will see you in our next event. That's on Wednesday, 4th of March at 7 p.m. That's an event called Supercharge Your BA Career with AI by Tom Wu. And we will, and if you like our page and if you like the group, you are welcome to scan the QR codes to join our BA Career Meetup group, YouTube channel, and the LinkedIn page. I'll leave this on for a minute for everyone to scan if interested. And I think with that, we will wrap up today's session. Thank you again, Owen. Thank you everyone for coming in on Wednesday evening. And I hope you have a good rest of the week.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
May I
Thank you,
thank
Thank
everyone.
James.
Have a
you.
good
Thank
night.
you,
See you.
Bye.
Owen.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.